So this video is based on investment appraisal. Now, investment appraisal is a process businesses use to evaluate and compare potential investment projects. So it helps them to kind of determine which are the most financially viable. So sometimes a company might have a range of options and they're trying to choose which investment is probably going to guarantee the greatest return, let's say. So this particular video, we're going to be looking at net present value. Now, I prefer net present value when I'm looking at investment appraisal tools, and the reason for that is because I think it's a little bit more sophisticated, and that's because it tries to calculate the total value of future cash flows from an investment, which the others don't. So net present value, I suppose, focuses on that principle of a pound today is worth more than a pound tomorrow. So it kind of looks at the opportunity cost associated with certain investments. So for example, if you're thinking about you've got £100,000 and you could invest it and you're looking at future returns, well, actually you also want to I suppose consider what would happen if you put that £100,000 into let's say savings accounts. What would be the interest rate based on those savings that could be compounded annually? So for example, if it's at 4.5%, you might be generating £4,500 after that first year, and if the return in that first year from the investment doesn't match that, then I suppose you're thinking, is it justified? Is it worth it? So it looks at other factors as well. It looks at, for example, risk. So obviously receiving money now is less risky than waiting for it in terms of later years. So the longer you're waiting for that return, the more risky I suppose it is, because there's no guarantee that you'll actually get it. So one of the biggest factors it considers when looking at the value of money today compared to in the future is inflation. We know that inflation erodes the value of money, so it directly affects the real value of future cash flows, and net present value takes that into account. Yes, via a prediction, but it's more than like others, for example, with average rate of return. So what it'll do is it'll account for potential changes in the price level and how that might impact the value of that money in the future. So for example, if we're thinking about £100,000, £100,000 is worth more today than it will be in a year, 2 years, 3 years time. So when we're considering, let's imagine that the investment we predict would make a return of £10,000 each year. But if we don't consider inflation, then each year that £10,000 is just simply in nominal terms, and therefore again it's been inflated and it's actually worth a lot less. So we have to discount this, and what we use is discount rates and discount factors. So the discount rate is the rate to reduce the value of future cash flows. It will be given to you by AQA. So in this, it's been given to you as 10%. All right, so then we can use the discount factors of year 1, year 2, year 3. So as we can see here, it's discounted more as the years go on, just to kind of indicate that that risk factor, but also in terms of the fall in value of money over a period of time. So it really does represent the opportunity cost of capital, what return you could have earned if you invested that money elsewhere. So how they come up with these discount factors and discount rates, it's usually based on research. It's based on kind of looking at economic analysis. It's looking at kind of trends over time. So they might take into account what the bank interest rates are. They might take into account inflation rates. But like I said before, it is a prediction. So it's not guaranteed. So the discount factor will then be used as a multiplier to calculate the present value. So all I mean by that is what we'd get is we'd get the 0.91 and we'd times it by whatever that net cash flow is in that given year. So as we can see, we've got that £15,000, we times it by 0.909, which is the discount factor, and that's telling you that in a year's time, we are predicting that the value of that money is not £15,000, but it's actually £13,635 in terms of today's value. So again, year 2, 20,000 times by 0.826. So if we're judging it on today's value of money, that would actually be £16,520. And again, year 3, 18,775. So we add them all up together and we get 48,930 is that accumulated cash flow, but we've not taken into account year 0, because what happened in year 0? Well, it was the cost of the investment. So we have to work out how that compares to the cost of the investment to get the true accumulated net cash flow in terms of the present value for years 0 to year 3. So what we've got is our cost of investment, which is £50,000. Now I would put that in my year 0 as minus 50,000, and then I'd accumulate the net cash flow based on that with the discount factors. So we already know that it's 48,930, but if we had accumulated it from that year 0, it would have been minus £1,070. So what does that mean? Well, it's negative. So if it's negative, we reject it. So if you've got a negative NPV, what it's telling you is the present value of expected future cash inflows is less than the initial investment cost. So it's not justified. Do not do it. So after discounting for the time value of money, using those discount rates, you're effectively losing value by undertaking the project. Now, do we simply only reject negatives? No, because sometimes what you get is a target. You get a target net present value, and that might be a target that's been agreed by, let's say, the board of directors and the shareholders, or maybe, for example, you've got a range of choices and you're going to go for the highest net present value. So if your net present value is, let's say, £12,000, but then the target is £13,000, then I suppose you'd reject it. If you had option 1, 2 and 3, and option 3 was much higher than option 1 and 2, then of course, again, you would choose that option because it's the highest one. And if that highest one doesn't achieve your target, then again, it's not achieving your target, so you reject it. So it's just dependent on what the question's asking. So why don't you have a go at this one? So this time it's laid out slightly differently. You've got year 0, which is the minus £50,000, which tells you that is the investment. And then you've got the discount factor. Remember, in year 0, the discount factor will always be 1.00 because that is the value of money today. It's at its full value. And then as the years go on, the discount factor will obviously it'll be discounted more and more because of that loss of value over time. So have a go, pause the video, and let's see if you get it right. So did you get that? So it was 11,050. So 11,050, if for example there was a target of 12,000, you'd reject it. If the target was 11,000, you'd accept it. So just remember also, if you have a situation where the net cash flow is increasing significantly over time, then remember that might be problematic because that's going to be discounted at a higher rate. So really what we'd want from this investment is we'd want the net returns to be higher earlier on because they'd be discounted less, meaning that we get a better value for that return.